This week I focused on polishing enemies and finally started working on the first boss encounter of the game, along with adding a new flying enemy to make combat feel more vertical and chaotic. SCØUR is a fast-paced biopunk FPS where everything is made out of flesh instead of metal. I am going for the ultra-kill style combat and visuals mixed with the disturbing biopunk world of Scorn. I started the week by improving the existing enemies. I added new muzzle flashes, projectile meshes, bullet trails and emissive flashes when enemies fire, so combat feels much clearer and much aggressive during combat. After that I began designing a new flying enemy. The idea was to create an enemy that pressures the player from above, forcing the player to constantly move and pay attention vertically as well. Once the model was finished, I textured and rigged the enemy for animations. Because the movement itself already uses code-based bobbing inside Unity, the animation process was much simpler compared to the other enemies. Current animations include idle, shoot and melee attack. I also decided not to animate the tendrils manually. Instead, those will move dynamically using physics to make the enemy feel more unstable and organic. And finally, I implemented those same ragdoll and overkill systems that the other enemies already use. Once the animations were finished, I started integrating the enemy into the game. This mainly included wiring the animations, adding muzzle flashes, creating new decals and projectile visuals because the flying enemy will use explosive projectiles which fit the same aesthetic of the grenade launcher, and refactoring the flying enemy controller, because the flying enemy uses two different kind of attacks. The projectile itself now has a more vomit-like look that fits the biopunk style better. Towards the end of the week, I finally began working on the first boss encounter. Right now I mainly focused on blocking out the boss room and experimenting with the overall concept. The goal is to create a fight that pushes the player to fully use movement and combat together, instead of just standing still and shooting. I also began testing some early visual concepts and high tech ideas, but I want to keep most of the boss a surprise for now. The fight is still in a very early stage right now, but it's already giving me a much better idea of how I want the boss encounter to work in the game. This week was mainly focused on enemy variants, combat polish and prototyping larger encounters. Adding flying enemies already changes the pacing of combat a lot more than expected. And starting to work on the boss finally makes the game feel like it's becoming a complete experience. Next up, expanding the boss fight further, including animations, improving combat arenas, and continuing overall combat polish and game feel improvements. As always, if you got ideas, feedback, or things you want to see in the game, drop them below or join the Discord for daily updates. You can also follow me on Instagram, and I see you guys next time.